Schedule, or today we are going to be going over our Week 5 predictions for this NFL season. Last week was better than uh, Week 3. We went 9-6-1 because of the tie that happened on Sunday night, which brings our total record up to 38-25-1. So better week than last week, but still not the best. And now there's only going to be 14 games today because 4 teams are on bye week, but let's hope we can at least get 10 right this week. So the first game we have the Thursday night game between the 3-1 Rams and the 3-1 Niners. Now the Niners coming off of a tough loss to Jacksonville where they just couldn't not turn the ball over, and the Rams coming off of a big win against the beforehand 3-0 Colts. The Rams are 7.5 point favorites in this game. I would have a hard time picking the Niners in this game. I mean, if you look at their injuries, I'm pretty sure Brock Purdy's out, Jawan Jennings is out, Ricky Pearsall is out, George Kittle is still out, Brandon Ayuk is still out. Their best receiver is Demarcus Robinson. And the Rams are pretty healthy for the most part. They actually have 4 injuries on their entire team. Stafford, I think, plays well against the Niners. I'm going Rams 30, Niners 21. Now we get the London game between the 2-2 Vikings and the 1-3 Browns. Vikings are 3-point favorites in this game. Dylan Gabriel is getting his first start against a very good Vikings defense, so I don't know how good that's going to go for Cleveland. I just think it's going to be tough for Gabriel to win his first start in the NFL with the team he has around him, and with the fact that he's playing the Vikings. I do think Quinshon Judkins can have a decent game because that is the one weakness in this Minnesota defense is their run defense. We saw it last week, and Gainwell had a great game, so I do think Judkins can have a solid game, but I think that's going to be about it that we'll see from the Browns offense in terms of success. Their defense, I think, can do well against Carson Wentz and this Vikings offense. I do think it will be a low-scoring game on both sides, but I just think that Vikings defense is going to have a great game, and I do think that Carson Wentz and the Vikings offense can do enough at least. So I'm going Minnesota 21-13 over the Browns. Next game is a battle between two surprisingly 1-3 teams. The 1-3 Texans and the 1-3 Ravens. Now Texans are 1-point favorites, so it's basically a toss-up 50-50. Now we talked about the injuries with the Niners, the injuries that they have going into this week. The Ravens may have it even worse. Lamar Jackson is doubtful. Marlon Humphrey is doubtful. Roquan Smith is doubtful. Kyle Van Noy is questionable. Nate Wiggins is questionable. Tyler Linderbaum is questionable. Madubuike is now on the IR. They have so many injuries, and obviously the main one is Lamar is injured, so Cooper Rush is now going to be the quarterback. And Cooper Rush is going against potentially the best defense in the league in the Houston Texans, who have allowed an average of 12.8 points a game, which is number 1 in the NFL. I don't think the Ravens do much offensively, and while the Texans' offense themselves have struggled, this Ravens defense hasn't been that good, and they're also super injured. So I don't think the Texans are going to light the world against this Ravens defense. But they put up 26 points against Tennessee, who gives up about 30 a game. Baltimore gives about 30 a game. So I think Houston can score 20 plus. And I'm going to go Houston winning 24-13 over the Ravens. Next is a battle of two of the more underwhelming teams, I'd say. The 1-3 Panthers and the 1-3 Dolphins. Now, Dolphins got a big win last week against the Jets to get their first win of the season. Panthers coming off of a terrible game against the Patriots, but before that, shutout win against the Falcons to get their first win of the season. So both teams 1-3, both teams towards the bottom of the league and just talent. So which team here can sort of turn it around maybe in this Week 5 game? The Panthers offense has been not the best this year, but they are playing a Miami defense who has struggled to stop teams. And on the flip side, the Panthers defense, for the most part, has been decent, has been like okay outside of last week. And the Dolphins offense has pretty much been up and down as well. But they did just lose Tyreek Hill, who was playing very well to start that game. So we'll see what they do without him. I do think the Panthers can run the ball somewhat successfully on this Dolphins defense. You saw them struggle to stop the Jets run very early in that game. The first drive, the Jets had like 10 run plays and like everyone worked until they fumbled at like the 2-yard line or whatever. I do think the Panthers can get a good ground game going against Miami, but I just think that speed on that Miami team, even without Tyreek Hill, is going to be too much for this Panthers defense. So I'm going to go Dolphins 24-20 over the Panthers. Next game is between the 1-3 Raiders and the 3-1 Colts. Colts are 7-point favorites in this game. While I do like some of the things I saw from the Raiders last week against the Bears, especially Ashton Jeanty, how much of that was the fact that they were playing the Bears? Who knows? Because the Bears defense hasn't been the most consistent so far. I do think the Raiders can keep this. I don't know about competitive. I think maybe it's one of those games where it's competitive early and the Colts pull away late. I just think the Colts offense is going to be able to have too much success on this Raiders defense. The weakness of this Raiders defense is their pass defense. So I do think Daniel Jones can have a very, very good game against this Raiders team. And Jonathan Taylor is still going to be Jonathan Taylor. I think the Colts win 30-21 pretty easily when it's all said and done against the Raiders, although I wouldn't be surprised if the Raiders keep this competitive early on or even throughout the entire game. But I do think the Colts end up getting the win. Next, talk about bad teams. We just talked about Dolphins, Panthers not too long ago. Now we get the 1-3 Giants and the 0-4 Saints. Saints are 2.5-point favorites. The 0-4 Saints are favorited to win this game. And that seems pretty crazy to me because we just saw the Giants beat the Chargers, who were arguably playing like one of the best teams in the league, and now they're going against the Saints, who have arguably been one of the worst teams in the league. Now, the one thing the Saints have done well is they've been competitive for the most part. They were competitive against the Niners, competitive against the Cardinals. They did get blown out by the Seahawks, but in the first half of the game against the Bills, they looked pretty decent. And I do think, while they have been competitive in 10 quarters this season, I think this Giants defense and that D-line mainly with Burns and Carter and Dexter Lawrence, even though I just saw that Dexter Lawrence is questionable with an illness, but even Burns and Abdul Carter, I think, might be enough to get after Spencer Rattler. And Jackson Dart in that Giants offense didn't look too bad against a good Chargers defense, and now you're playing a much, much worse Saints defense. I'm actually going to go with the Giants here, 20-13 on the road to beat the Saints. Another 0-4 team, speaking of 0-4, we have the Cowboys, who are 1-2-1, taking on the Jets, who are 0-4. The Cowboys are only 2.5-point favorites in this game, which seems crazy to me. I mean, I know they're 1-2-1, but the Jets are 0-4, and the Jets' defense has looked horrible this year, and now they're going against one of the better offenses in the league in Dallas, who just put up 40 on Green Bay. And while the Cowboys' defense has been pretty much as bad as their offense has been good, how much do we trust the Jets' offense, even against Dallas? I think it'll be a high-scoring game because it's two of the worst defenses in the league and one of the best offenses and a decent offense. I do think it'll be high-scoring, but I think I just trust the offense of Dak Prescott more than I trust the offense led by Justin Fields. So I'm going to go Cowboys winning 35-27 over the Jets. Next is an interesting game here between the Broncos, who are 2-2, and the Eagles, who are 4-0. Eagles are 3.5-point favorites. Broncos coming off of a big win, but it was against the Bengals, whereas the Eagles are coming off of a very impressive win against the Buccaneers. I've doubted the Eagles the last 2 weeks, picked them to lose to the Rams, which they honestly should have, and then picked them to lose to the Bucs. I'm no longer doubting the Eagles. I do think this could be a close game because even though the Eagles have been 4-0, they haven't blown anybody out. They beat the Cowboys by 4. They beat the Chiefs by 3. They did beat the Rams by 7, but that's just because they got the blocked kick touchdown. If they would have just got a blocked kick and nothing else, they would have beat the Rams by 1. And then they beat the Bucks by 6. So they haven't blown anybody out. They just gotten the wins that they needed to get. I do think this will be a close game and a low-scoring game because it's two very good defenses versus two inconsistent offenses. But I am going to go with the Eagles 24-20 over the Broncos. Now, next game we have is the Cardinals, who are 2-2, taking the Titans, who are 0-4. Cardinals are 7.5-point favorites in this game. I do think this is pretty easy Cardinals win. The Titans have looked like the worst team in the league. They just got shut out 26-0 against the Texans team that hadn't done much up till then. And the one thing the Cardinals have been very good at this year is defense. They've had actually very surprisingly good defense. And I just don't know if the Titans offense is going to be able to score much against this Cardinals defense. They couldn't score any points against Houston, and now they go against Arizona. I think Arizona wins this pretty easily. I'm going Arizona 27-13 over the Titans. Now, Bucks Seahawks. I really like this matchup. Buccaneers and Seahawks both 3-1. The Seahawks are 3.5-point favorites in this game, and I do agree with that because the Buccaneers, while they were 3-0 before that Philadelphia loss, it wasn't the most impressive 3-0, right? They beat the Falcons by 3, they beat Houston by 1, and they beat the Jets by 2. It wasn't the most impressive game, and they were getting blown out by Philly early on in that game. And Seattle, I think, has quietly been one of the better teams. Like, I know they haven't had the most difficult schedule yet, but their defense has been very good, one of the best in the league, and their offense, no one's really talking about it, has been good. And I feel like Tampa Bay has a lot of injuries. They haven't been the most consistent on defense, so I do think Seattle can score some points, which is what they're going to have to do, because although their defense has been great, Tampa Bay can put up points. But I just think I think Seattle's just the more consistent team and has shown me a little bit more over the course of the season. So I will go Seattle 21-17 in a close game, but I will go Seattle over Tampa Bay. Now, I don't think this game is going to be a very close game between the 3-1 Lions and the 2-2 Bengals. Lions are 10.5-point favorites on the road, which is insane. If they were home, they'd be like 14-point favorites. I mean, Cincinnati just looked horrible against Denver. And Denver is a decent team, don't get me wrong, but they couldn't do anything against Denver. They couldn't do anything against Minnesota. And now they're going against one of the best teams in the league in Detroit, who, after a rough week 1, has looked like themselves since that week 1 loss. They're number 1 scoring, and their defense has played very good. I just don't see a world where this game is particularly close. So this is my lock of the week. I'm going Detroit 31, Cincinnati 17. Next game is probably one of the next 3 games, honestly, are 3 of the more interesting matchups for me. And the 3 games I'm most excited for this week. 3 of the games I'm most excited for. First one is Commanders-Chargers. Commanders 2-2, Chargers 3-1. Chargers are only 2-point favorites, and that's because the Commanders are getting back Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels is he's full to go. He's ready to go in this game. He's healthy. Now, we don't know about Terry McLaurin. He's still questionable, but they are getting Jayden Daniels back. And honestly, with Marcus Mariota, they put up 40 points against the Raiders. I know it's the Raiders. And then they put up 27 points against the Falcons, who have been a good defense. So even with Mariota and no Eckler and McLaurin missing some time, the Commanders' offense has been pretty good. Like, Deebo Samuel has been very good. And on top of that, the Commanders' defense has also been pretty decent. So I really like the Commanders' chances to beat the Chargers, because the Chargers just coming off of a loss to the Giants, where their offense struggled against because the Giants defense, while they have, the star power on that D line, the Giants defense gives up an average of 25 points a game. And the Chargers could only get 18 on them. And the Commanders defense allows just a little bit better at 23 points a game. So I do think that this Commanders defense can somewhat contain this Chargers offense, especially because the strength of this Commanders defense is the run game. So they can take out Amari and Hampton and have Herbert beat them. And I think that the Jaden Daniels return, I think the Commanders win this game 24-21 in a minor upset against the Chargers. Now, speaking of upset, this game I think has upset potential. Bills are 4-0, I understand. Patriots are 2-2, and the Bills are 8-point favorites. But the reason why I think this has upset potential is because the one weakness of Buffalo is their defense. Their defense hasn't been the best, right? You let the Ravens put up 40. You do hold the Jets to 10, but it's the Jets it's the Jets. Then they let the Dolphins put up 21, and then the Saints put up 19. But that's been their weakness, has been their defense, right? Their offense has been great, but their defense has not. And Drake May has had a very, very good season. And I think Drake May can actually have some success against this Buffalo defense and put up a decent amount of points, maybe like at least 24 points. And then on the flip side, this Patriots defense has been one of the best in the league. Not a single team outside of the Dolphins have put up more than 21 points on the Patriots. They held the Raiders to 20. Dolphins put up 27. They held the Patriots to 21, and they held the Panthers to 13. And their defense has been very good. And I think they have a shot to somewhat contain Josh Allen and this Dolphins and this Bills offense. On top of the fact that I think they can score some points. I always like to pick a big upset or a somewhat big upset every week, like a 5-point underdog. So I'm actually going to go with the Patriots in my upset of the week, 27-24 over the Bills on Sunday night. Our final game we have is the Monday night game between the Chiefs and the Jags. This says the Chiefs are home. The Jags are actually home. I messed up on the graphic here. But Chiefs are 2-2. Jags, surprisingly, 3-1. Chiefs are 3.5-point favorites. I really like this matchup. I do think this is going to be a very good, close game. I do think it will be a very low-scoring game. Chiefs defense has continued to play very good, and the Jags defense has been surprisingly very good, especially in the turnovers. They have forced so many turnovers this season. It's a battle of two top 10 scoring defenses, and then a battle of very up and down offenses. Right? Trevor Lawrence and this Jags offense has just been up and down throughout the whole season. And the Chiefs offense struggled early on, but it's interesting when they get Xavier Worthy back that the offense actually looks pretty decent. Right? Because now instead of Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith being your only receivers, it's now Worthy, Hollywood Brown, and Juju Smith. And eventually, it'll be Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, and Juju Smith. And all of a sudden, the Chiefs actually have a viable receiving core, if not a good receiving core. And you saw that last week against Baltimore. I know their defense has been injured and not playing the best. But Mahomes and this Chiefs offense started to look a little bit like we're used to. And I think that they can get it done against this Jags defense, who has been good. But their one weakness is that pass defense. And I think Mahomes can get after it with some deep shots to Xavier Worthy. I think this is going to be a close, low-scoring game. And it's going to come down to that final drive for each team. And if it's Trevor Lawrence and Patrick Mahomes, and it comes down to a final two drives between those two, I'm going to go with Pat Mahomes. I'm going to trust him more. I have the Chiefs winning 21-17 on the road. Again, I messed up the graphic here. On the road in Jacksonville. And that will conclude our Week 5 predictions for the 2025 NFL season. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like. If you're new, subscribe. And in the comment section below, give me some of your predictions for this week. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.